One planet, two worlds, rich versus poor in today's world, one planet. 8 billion people, and two very different realities. In some countries, a child grows up with clean water, world-class education, and free healthcare. Their biggest worry: picking a college or a career. In others, a child grows up walking miles for water, eating one meal a day, and wondering if they'll survive the next year. This is the story of wealth and poverty, a story that explains how we got here, what life looks like in the richest and poorest countries, and what the future could hold for all of us. The richest countries on Earth. Let's start where wealth feels limitless. In Luxembourg, the average salary is over $80,000 a year. The streets are spotless. Public transport is free. Education doesn't cost a dime. And healthcare is so advanced that citizens rarely think about medical bills. In Switzerland, not only is the chocolate world-class, but so are the banks, the hospitals, and the schools. People here live some of the longest, healthiest lives on Earth. Singapore has turned a small island into a global powerhouse. Technology drives daily life, from cashless systems everywhere to some of the fastest internet in the world. Norway is another success story. Oil wealth combined with smart governance has created one of the most generous welfare systems in the world. Citizens enjoy free education, universal healthcare, and high levels of happiness. And in the United States, despite its deep inequalities, the sheer size of the economy and innovation sector has created billionaires who reshape global industries and millions of jobs. The poorest countries on Earth now. Let's see the other side. In Burundi, the average income is less than $300 a year. Most families survive on subsistence farming. Many children don't finish primary school, not because they don't want to, but because they're needed to help with basic survival. South Sudan, one of the youngest countries in the world, is still plagued by conflict and instability. For many families, safety itself is a daily question mark. In Malawi, a majority of the population lives in rural areas, and access to electricity and clean water is still limited. But communities are resilient, and education is slowly improving. Niger and the Central African Republic face similar struggles: weak infrastructure, limited healthcare, and economies that depend heavily on unstable agriculture. Daily life, two worlds, compare a typical morning in Norway with a morning in Burundi. In Norway, a teenager wakes up in a heated home, grabs breakfast, fresh bread, eggs, maybe salmon, and heads to school by bus or bike. Safe streets all around. In Burundi, a teenager wakes up at dawn, walks to collect water, and skips breakfast because the family has to ration food. Instead of school, they might spend the day helping on the farm or working to earn a few coins. In the United States, people complain when their Wi-Fi drops during a Zoom meeting. In Niger, families walk hours to find a single well with clean drinking water. The contrast is brutal. And it has nothing to do with individual intelligence, ambition, or value. It's simply where you were born. How did we get here? This gap didn't appear overnight. History plays a massive role. During the colonial era, European powers extracted resources, gold, diamonds, spices, and human labor from Africa, Asia, and Latin America. Infrastructure was built, yes, but mainly to move those resources out, not to build sustainable local economies. Global trade systems continue to favor wealthy nations. Countries that produce raw materials, coffee, cocoa, cotton, often earn pennies, while processing and branding in rich countries generate billions. Politics and corruption have also kept many nations trapped. Without stable governments, foreign investment stays away, and aid often ends up in the wrong hands. And then there's geography. Landlocked countries, or those in harsh climates, face natural disadvantages in building strong economies. It's expensive to import and export goods without ports. Agriculture becomes risky with droughts and floods. The human side of inequality statistics are powerful, but stories make it real. A young mother in Luxembourg says her biggest worry is choosing the right preschool for her child. A young mother in Burundi says her biggest worry is finding enough food so her child doesn't go to bed hungry. In Switzerland, an accident leads to a hospital stay, world-class care, and no financial stress. In South Sudan, the same accident could mean no treatment at all because the nearest clinic is miles away and doesn't have the right supplies anyway. Different worlds, same planet. And yet the human desire is the same everywhere. Safety, health, opportunity, and hope for the next generation. Signs of hope. Despite the challenges, there are reasons to be optimistic. In Rwanda, a focus on technology and education has turned the country into a rising African hub for innovation. In Malawi, solar energy projects are bringing electricity and internet access to rural villages for the first time. In Bangladesh, microfinance programs are helping women start businesses, send their children to school, and slowly break the cycle of poverty. And around the world, cheap smartphones and satellite internet are connecting even the most remote communities to information, education, and global markets. The future. The gap between rich and poor isn't permanent. Imagine a world where clean water, electricity, and internet access are considered basic human rights available to everyone. Imagine a world where no child has to skip school to survive, where opportunity isn't determined by the accident of birth. Technology, education, and global cooperation are the keys. They won't solve everything overnight, but they're already changing lives in ways that were unimaginable just a decade ago. That take away one planet, two worlds, but one shared future. Inequality is real, but it's not destiny. Knowledge is the first step toward change. Because when we understand these realities, we start to care. And when we care, we act. Subscribe to Zestopedia. Because curiosity doesn't just make you smarter. It makes the world, little by little, a better place.